Well, quick turn. Obviously, we knew this was going to be part of the scenario with the Tuesday game at Minnesota being set with the Thursday game. Obviously, we can't do anything about it with COVID, but very much like a NCAA tournament atmosphere where you've got one day in between, and we've got a very good Maryland team, very talented Maryland team coming in. I was pleased with what we did last night. I thought we took some steps defensively. I thought after watching the game, Omar Payne was really instrumental. He was huge for us. Very, very active on the defensive side and very active on the offensive side. It didn't show up in the stat sheet, but a couple offensive rebounds, keeping balls alive. And then I thought that Alonzo Plumber had his best game defensively for us. So I thought we grew. I thought we did a nice job defensively. And then I thought offensively we played the way that they allowed us to play in terms of, they were pretty dialed in on Trent and Alfonso, not giving them threes. And that just made, spread the floor and allowed Kofi to operate. But I thought we did a nice job of finding him. Jacob Grandison was sensational again. And, all in all, just a very good team effort. Now it's on to Maryland and a team that has elite guards and Fats Russell and Ayala. They've added Q in the middle is a transfer from Georgetown who's been very, very effective. And then Scott has been a guy who's obviously been around. So, a team that is playing very well. A team that's shooting the ball much better now than they were early in the season. I think they've been out here the whole time, coming from Iowa. I think they've stayed out. So, the travel piece is minimal for them. But again, a team that is picked toward the top of our league and is very, very capable of beating anybody in this league. They're very talented. I do want to mention, special night with Io's jersey being number 34 to go in the rafters here. The first one since 2005-06 team with D, and he's very deserving. He is the essence of what our program was going through when we were building. I've got tremendous respect for Io for sticking through it, continuing to work, continuing to allow us to coach him in a way that helped establish our culture. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be prouder of an individual, his family. He's got a wonderful family. And I'm excited for them to all be here and be able to witness his jersey being lifted in the rafters. And so what makes this place special is there's a very select group, and I'm proud that I was able to coach Iowa and be a part of helping him in a small way do his part to achieve greatness. So great night for him.
Coach, what does it say about your team that you were able to win pretty handily without making a ton of threes? Does that make you a little bit harder to scout?
I always look at how I would try to guard us, as kind of a self-check and self-evaluation sometimes. And again, I think that, other than we had the little 4.5 minute stretch where we turned it over a couple times and took a couple quick shots, I think we're starting to play this sounds in a very simplistic way. We're not overly complicated, but we're taking what the defense gives us. And I the fact that Trent Frazier took one shot in the first half last night, and we got an 11-point lead at half on the road, and then to see that we just kept our guys loved it. Our guys loved the fact we just kept feeding the horse, and that to me is a sign of a team that's growing and playing together.
How much did not having Daryl Morcell change Maryland defensively?
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's one of the best defenders in the country, defensive player of the year. You're talking about a guy that could guard multiple positions, and they've got guys that are very, very good defenders. And every team's got its own identity. This team doesn't have him. That was a guy that you had to account for. Because of he was going to make things hard for whoever he guarded. And they've got other guys. Ayala's turned into that a little bit. Fats can do it in some different ways because of his speed and his athleticism. He gets in passing lanes, and then the big boy in the middle is a problem. He's got great length, so they do it a little bit differently. But again, this is a very, very good defensive team, and the numbers show that.
Sticking with defense, I think a lot of fans don't necessarily understand what Omar does for you. You've always talked him up, but we don't see the practices. I assume having him go against Kofi every day has benefited Kofi.
Absolutely. You're talking about a guy, I think that if you see his shot he batted off the backboard last night, our numbers are extremely good when he's in the game. Our DER with Omar Payne in the game is on the defensive side is through the roof. And he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's got great feet. There was a time last night, there was a 4 or 5 ball screen, which he switched onto Battle, and Battle couldn't get by him. And he's got great length, and he challenges and makes things difficult at the rim. So he's very effective. And like I said, he goes against Kofi every day. So, most nights it's a relief to play against somebody else and not Kofi every day.
I know you kind of talked about having that NCAA tournament turnaround. When you have that one-day turnaround, how much does that kind of limit or change what you can do film or game prep wise?
Well, it condenses everything film-wise. We start film 48 hours before, and so now there's a more condensed version. Maybe not quite as in-depth in terms of what all the actions are a team runs, but again, you rely on your principles, you rely on your fundamentals. And then, you got to get pretty dialed in on priorities and emphasis that teams have. And that part we handle. And then you've got to find that right mechanism on the court, how much is too much and how much, do you really have to cover. So, I think we've got a good balance and we're sensitive to, we played last night and we're coming off COVID. But again, we got to be prepared to compete. And we did that today.
I know you kind of talked about Alfonso's defense. I know that was kind of a key when you were recruiting him. Was his kind of improvement on that end something that has kind of surprised you, him coming this far this quickly?
I think we've challenged him on a daily basis to be the most complete player he can. Everybody knows what he's capable of offensively and that he's very gifted on that end. But you don't go beyond this level, and you don't win if you don't guard. And young man's got a tremendous amount of character. He wants to be good. He wants to be pushed, and we're doing that. And I tell him all the time, you can't be your best version of you, which is a winner, unless you guard. And our guys help him in that area. And he thinks offense, but now we've got him thinking defense. And I thought last night, other than the first possession of the game, he was pretty good.
Brad, you had the long delay between games, 13 days. How did it feel to kind of get back, see that dominant performance after that long delay, and how much do you like having, getting right back on the court tomorrow, coming off that as well?
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest things about being time off is you worry about not will we forget a play or an action, but you lose your competitive edge. You lose that fire that stays. It's kind of like a gas, fireplace. It's always lit. Sometimes when you're off, that thing flickers out, and you've got to reignite that, and you're concerned about that. The competitive side of that, and now it's. It almost feels like it's back to league play. To me, back-to-backs aren't that big a deal in terms of having one-day preps. I had them every year when I was at Stephen F. Austin. We had Big Monday when I was in the Big 12. I enjoy them. Yeah, we're right back at it, and I think we get to a point at certain times that guys would rather play than practice.
Did you go hard today, Brad, or how did you kind of?
No, we went hard. We went pretty good, and part of that is conditioning, and making sure that we keep growing. I liked our minute balance last night. DeMonte's probably the one guy I was the proudest of last night, in terms of him being away and being out and time off, and then logging that many minutes. But most of our guys, played an okay amount of minutes that was comfortable. So I felt like today we could go a little bit.
They said on the telecast last night that Andre Curbello's coming along and practicing more, working out more. What have you seen from him in that?
Yeah, most of that, Brett, starts with conditioning. I'm one of those guys that I don't ever want to put a player in a position to fail or get hurt again, not being in great shape and not being back. And so his biggest strides right now are coming with the conditioning piece, and just trying to get back as close as he can, not just in game shape but basketball shape. And there was a time frame where he was off, and you lose that. And so we'll bring him back accordingly as his conditioning goes and his situation continues to improve.
Coach, you look at the stats, and it's pretty remarkable to see so many Big Ten players leading the charts in scoring. It's like five out of the top 10 or whatever. But can you comment on that, on the level of players in the league, and then how Kofi stacks up against the rest of the league and then the rest of college basketball?
And this sounds crazy. I haven't watched a lot of Big Ten games, and I don't mean that like I don't care. It's not something I do. I've seen some of the numbers. I saw Johnny Davis, big night, and I actually had 2 NBA guys call me this morning about him. Yeah, I mean, obviously Murray, I'm familiar with because we've played him. But our league's got really good players, and I think it's got great coaches, and coaches figure out how to get guys shots. And so it doesn't surprise me. I saw the freshman from Ohio State had 33 or 35 or whatever. I don't want to be wrong, but that's good coaching, taking advantage of a situation and having good players. And this league's always got some of the best players in the country. Most of them have been good scorers throughout, and they just figure out how to try to win games.
A lot of social media chatter about how Kofi Cockburn matches up against those guys. I know it's really early for postseason accolades, but where do you think he stacks up in the race for, Conference Player of the Year or National Player of the Year?
I don't worry about it yet. Kofi's one of the best players in the country, and for the fact that he serves a 3-game suspension, I don't know how all the analytics work. I need to talk to Zach and Jeff and Tyler and all those guys who know how all those for him not to show up because he was suspended for 3 games or doesn't play enough minutes. I don't know how all that works. Kofi's one of the most efficient players in the country. He's one of the best players in the country, and he's usually doing it through doubles and triples and everything else, where maybe not everybody else is doing that. I just know we've got somebody that's, in my opinion, the best player in the country, and all that stuff will work itself out in time.
Is it normal for NBA scouts to call you about
yeah.
an opponent?
Yeah, I get a lot of those. We get a lot of those, and it's small. Basketball's a small world. People want to find out. I got a bunch of calls after the Notre Dame game about their freshmen, and people call and ask and want to know who, if there's anybody you've seen or anybody you like, and how they played against you, or we see it a lot with perimeter players. They want to know how so and so did against Trent. So it's not uncommon.
And that means that they're aware of Trent and his defensive prowess.
Oh yeah, and everybody knows that most of the time we're pretty good on that end, and we try to play on that end.
Coleman Hawkins, what have his grade outs been for the last few games?
Better, good. Coleman's been great defensively, and he's been really rock solid defensively. The one thing that, we've got Coleman playing in a better role, in a better position offensively, and he's been really good. He's been really good.
I know in Minnesota it seemed like they kind of gave Kofi some space with his kind of improved playmaking, his ability to kind of turn and make quick reads to kick balls out. How hard does that make it for teams to kind of choose to double him, knowing that they'll sometimes kind of leave guys open on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, you pick your poison. You pick your poison, and Kofi's matured into a really good passer and a really good guy to understand how to hit the open man where it's coming from, and I think teams have to figure out how they want to try to handle him, knowing that he's difficult. He's a hard guy to come at. So we'll see. Tomorrow night will be a new experience, I'm sure, or a different experience than what we saw last night. So we'll try to be as prepared as we can for anything that comes that way.
Yeah, when we talked to Alonzo Plumber, it's obvious that he knew he had to get better defensively. What's been the key to that? And did his teammates push him toward that? Because it seemed like they were pushing him toward locking down better defensively.
Yeah, I think all of his teammates know he's very gifted offensively, and yet there's a standard here that is about that end of the court, and he's very coachable. He's allowed us to coach him. He's allowed me to push him. He's allowed me to challenge him. And when you get that, you get a guy that will continue to get better. And again, I thought last night was his best game. And he's continuing to understand scouting reports better. And there's a maturity that comes with that, and an accountability. And our guys hold him accountable. And last night at halftime was DeMonte Williams' show. I mean, he was just, this is how we do it. This is what we're going to do. This is why we went on the road, and we're going to guard. And he comes out the first play of the half and dives on the floor for a loose ball, and that sets a tone. And all of our guys are buying into that. And Fonz is as well.